When I was about 7 years old, my Aunt Stella was an artist, and she bought me a drawing table and oil paints and pencils. She actually kind of taught me how to paint. I never had formal lessons. My aunt would pick out something I'd like to paint, maybe a little model car and a scene, and she would do some of it, and then it was my turn, I would do it. So we both basically painted the paintings, but I would just watch what she did and how she did it. She would take me to Broadway plays downtown, to auto shows, to art galleries. She had a boyfriend who sold famous artist courses. He would drive to all these areas and places and out into rural country areas, and my aunt would sit in the car and sketch different scenes, and then she would go home and paint those. That kind of inspired me. Whatever you look at, you can paint it. It was a really nice feeling, the paintings she had, nice and soothing, country-like, little houses, farmhouses, and just to be able to sit there and draw and sketch. It inspired me to try to get some of that feeling and enjoy it. It taught me to enjoy art. She really did. Way back about 40 years ago, I started to meditate. I started having vivid dreams, and I would wake up in the morning and just go, wow, that's amazing, fantastic. I started to have more and more, and I had so many I would start to remember, and it just became like second nature. Just as real as this is, that's how real that was. They were just beautiful landscapes, beautiful architecture, colors you can't even see, hear. Feeling was just peaceful and serene and happy, and I told myself, I've got to do something with this. And that's when I said, I'm gonna put this into artwork. I always liked to draw and paint. I used to doodle. So I taught myself to draw. I started with colored pencils to try to capture this. I progressed from there. I went to pastels. Then I went to acrylics so I could do large pieces. That's how it all started. It was the dreams that inspired me. I wanted to share that with anybody I could, as many people as I could. When I first started getting all of these dreams, I did a little pastel on a little piece of black velour. And at that time, the dreams were still kind of hazy and vague. You'd wake up in the morning and they'd kind of go away somewhat. But I started to remember certain trees and foliage. So the first one I ever did was just a little kind of a hazy chalk pastel. I use a glazing process, a lot of transparent colors, one over the other. And there's certain areas on this that have maybe 8, 10 layers of paint to get that vibrance and that glowing feel. My dreams that I had, a lot of times I would fly through the air and I'd come around bends or over the peaks of hills or mountains and come upon these like futuristic cities. I love colors. I have probably every color tube of paint that there is, but I usually only use maybe 10 or 12 per painting, and there's so many of them that I just kind of set aside and never really use much. It's just that I buy them and try them, but they don't fit my purpose. I don't mix on the palette as a rule. I usually just use the straight color and I do glazing. I'll start out with one color and then maybe another color over that. people look at it, they tell me how they love it. They look at it, it takes them to another world, it calms them down. Some people even tell me it has a healing component in it that helps them that way. I have some big pieces in this children's psychiatric facility in Pittsburgh, like 5 by 10 foot murals, and they purposely put my artwork in there. They saw that it had certain properties to it. It was calming, peaceful, and they wanted to put it in their facility to keep the young people calm and relaxed. There's like a lot of teenagers in there with problems, even violence. And twice they ordered pieces. We have about 10 in there now, and I expect maybe they'll order some more too. I'll take this tree and I'll put little dark spots just like these. I'll put them all around here to give it definition so they look more like circles. And then I'll take a little fine brush and I'll start to highlight the outer edges, lighter on this side and then turning into green. And then I highlight these edges coming into here and then take a dark green and just smooth it over to make it nice and dark there. So it's a long process. I wanted as many people as possible to see my artwork, to have a positive influence on the world. And I thought to myself, a good way to do that is licensing my images. So I did a licensing show in New York, and sure enough, a bunch of places signed me up. Jigsaw puzzles, cross stitch, globes that turn by solar power, wall murals. They're sold all over the world now. I've even gotten business from overseas. I've gotten commissions for paintings and sold my reproductions and shipped them over there. I feel grateful that happened. It makes me feel really good that I'm able to share my artwork. I like design. I think probably if I would have gone to school for art, it probably would have been like industrial design. It sounds crazy, but I would design toasters and refrigerators and TVs, and it's just fun. I like the shape of things. So I started to incorporate some things in my paintings, like old radios. I would buy a book of old radios or old toasters and just look at it and let it roll around, and I would come up with my own old radio in the painting, call it Radio Days, kind of nostalgic. Or I would do an old kitchen painting like from the 50s and put my own toasters and appliances in there. I like doing that. So that is kind of a change for me from the landscapes. This is part of my Earth Slumber series, and it depicts the Earth regenerating itself from the ground. Vibrations and frequencies come up and rejuvenate the Earth, and from the cosmos, radiations come down and rejuvenate the Earth, and they keep it alive. And sometimes I like to think of my artwork as painting music on a canvas, because it's movement, color, form, and shape that form a song that soothes the soul. I started out doing local outdoor art shows. That was very successful, so then I branched out and I started doing indoor and outdoor juried shows around the country. But I was able to make a decent income. And it was very interesting talking to all the people and meeting people. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of work. So after about 35 years of that, I thought, I think I just want to be able to concentrate on my artwork. I used to do so many shows before. I've done shows where I hung paintings that were just started, and I would actually sell them that way. I'd tell them what it's going to look like, and they said, okay, when it's done, I want it, But I was so short on artwork, I thought I want to have more time to devote to my original artwork. So after about 35 years of that, I quit. Sold my van, sold my display and everything. And now I concentrate more on licensing my work to get it out there, or just creating more original artwork for commissioned pieces or just my own satisfaction for now.